Moonlit. I represent the ReadyGames. We are a Web3 platform transforming the traditional games and distributing to blockchain. So today, now we're going to talk about the Web3 gaming with the interesting, speakers here. I would like to ask you to present yourself and also, to give your ideas how the Web3 gaming is different from the traditional games.
I guess I'll start. My name is Patrick McGrath, the co-founder and CEO of Moonlit Games here in Berlin. I have a long, I guess, since the beginning of free-to-play mobile career, so maybe about 13 years. Worked at companies like EA, Zynga, Playtika, and recently 10 Square Games. In product management, working on games like Bejeweled Blitz and Plants vs. Zombies and CSR Racing. So really taking a lot of free-to-play mobile experience and trying to bring that over to Web3, blockchain, the bad word, at least as far as games.
Okay, my name is Martin. I'm with a company called ChainSafe Systems here in Berlin as well. And what we do is, or where we come from, is protocol level work on blockchain. This is where we originated from. And I work as a technical project manager in our gaming unit. We call those streams, where I'm responsible for the developer experience. And not that much experience or I would say deep knowledge about the actual gaming, but more coming from the blockchain side, and spent last 2 years basically trying to bridge the gap between what traditional game developers experience looks like and transition over to how workflows change when you're suddenly confronted with a blockchain. Yeah, that's about me.
So my name is Alfredo Bárcena. At ReadyGG or ReadyGames, the company is originally from Canada. We have been building tools for developers for more than 8 years. And a couple of years ago, we checked what tools there were around for developers to make their life easier in game development, and we saw there were not really good tools for Web3. So we have developed a full SDK or tech stack for game developers that allows them to tap into the blockchain and Web3 features world without a major effort and in a revenue-sharing business model. So we provide SDK and plugins for Unity, for Unreal, for Godot, for API, for browser games. And we provide a full set of features, very similar to what other platforms do in terms of, for example, Steam or Play Store, but we provide it based on chain. So anything related to NFT market or all the classical achievements or gamification features with a full backend connected to the blockchain, chain agnostic, connected to 12 different blockchains. So, in a way, we are very similar to what other tools do for game developers, like Photon for multiplayer, or GameSpark or PlayFar for backend, or Xsola or Payment Wall for payments. This is what we're trying to do, just try to bring all of this new world, Web3 world, to developers so they can leverage it and just create fun games. You asked what's the difference between Web3 and Web2 games or traditional games. I don't think there is any difference in terms of what the player must feel. Just engagement, have fun. Just finish up a play and just be looking forward to playing a game. So you are actually engaged. This is what games need to be. But we just want to change. We're going to bring all of these Web3 features to games.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. From my side, I would add that for me, the biggest difference is that, the true ownership of the assets, right? True ownership of the assets, of the data. For instance, I've been playing some, traditional games for some years, spending some time, then I get bored, I delete, and I don't keep anything there, right? In the Web3 space, you can keep the asset, and if the game is growing, you can always monetize on that, renting, on selling, or doing some other stuff, breeding, other things. So let's I will come back to Alfredo, asking that I know that you are like transforming Web2 games to Web3. How the Web3 gaming platforms work? So what do you think? What are the, let's say, what is the scene there, and what is also the different or interesting that platforms like yours are offering in the space?
Right. I think I think there is a say, right? They say just change everything, so everything keeps the same, and this is classically applied to politicians, right? And when they want to bring all of these new things, but what they actually want to do is just keep the same. Well, myself, I've been in game publishing for more than 15 years, and even in eSports for 20 years, and our biggest fights always in game publishing, and one of the biggest fights has been also always user acquisition. So we know that in game publishing, it's a very atomized market where everybody's fighting for the traffic, for the good traffic. We know how expensive is the actual good traffic from very specific sites. So when Web3 trend appeared a couple of years ago, it was a big trend. Before that there was a Bitcoin gaming, CryptoKitties and all that, but it was a different thing. The biggest change has been the user acquisition, that for whatever reason it was like 10 times or 15 times more expensive. That's something that will never work in terms of being sustainable. So what we're trying to use a platform, we're a platform, but we're more a technical platform for developers. We're a B2B platform more than a B2C. What we want to do is just keeping the workflows, keeping the traditional workflows, user acquisition workflows. Players do not need to know about crypto. They don't need to know about going to an exchange, purchase crypto, then go to a tab website, purchase an NFT, then connect your wallet to the player account. And that will never work in terms of sustainability. Spending that much money in marketing will never work. So what we're doing is that. And as you said, play to own. You mentioned, maybe here in tier one markets like Europe, North America, that might not be that significant. But we know, especially if you have published games in tier 2 and tier 3 markets, North Africa, Middle East, Latin America. Play to own is so important. There are even sometimes let's say the illegal markets for items and accounts are actually larger than the actual revenue you are getting from the game as a publisher from these certain regions. We know MMORPGs for more than 15 years that already have these illegal markets where players has been trading accounts, items, and that has been always a big headache for us. So this is what we try to do. We provide all of this technology where play to own is a thing, where user-generated content is a thing that can be monetized, but keeping the workflows of Web2 in terms of user acquisition, in terms of payment. So pay everything with fiat or hard currency. We have always done. Do not change workflows. Keep the same workflows. Keep the same workflows for user acquisition, for marketing investment, for sustainability, for payments, for revenue. Just let's make a game and add the features on the background. Don't collect NFTs, collect collectibles. Don't collect a wallet, collect a vault that you can create in-game. And just these specific users that are actually hardcore and they want to withdrawing their assets, they can do it through a user panel in a website. They don't need to have a MetaMask or whatever. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to add all of these on-chain features based on an on-chain ID rather than a Steam ID or Epic ID or whatever. Just being in an actual blockchain, open to everyone, permissionless, very low fees in terms of payments. And then apply the classical traditional giving there. So that's our target.
Yeah, thank you. Martin, so when I heard about the ChainSafe, it was I think 2 years ago. First, you were positioning your product as for the NFT tracking tool. You are an open source, right? I see that now you are concentrated on the gaming part. So can you share with us why you made this decision to go deep and to offer the extra service to the developers?
The gaming market is a huge market and is growing. For adoption for blockchain, there are only so and so many markets that you can reasonably deliver products to, and having the gaming SDK as a product, open source SDK as a product, That was a management decision taken about 2 years back already, because for ChainSafe it is important to onboard developers to Web3. This is what we do at our core, enabling developers to Web3. Gaming is one of the key markets where developers do their jobs, and making life easier for them on the protocol level especially is where we can help, where we can enable and make sure that they don't really have to fiddle with every single protocol out there. So we have other products that, for example, allow to bridge from one network to another, and this comes with a lot of cognitive load as well. So what we're trying to do is make sure that for a developer it's relatively easy. What we don't do is taking away the burden of owning your own keys. So even though this is possible, and we have been building specific products for custodial wallets and stuff like that, we don't think that it is necessary to shield any user from owning their private keys, which is, I think this is a philosophical question, whether you want to create a wallet for a user and own that for some time until they maybe take it over, or give them the raw power of doing this straight away. But for us, it's not so important to do the last step. Even though we heavily invested in usability and UX features to make this kind of invisible, but what we always try to do is allow them, if they want the real deal, and if they want to really tap into what's going on under the hood, they can always do this with ChainSafe products across the board. And, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, so what do you think, how big is the Web3 gaming, and what are the main metrics to track the growth?
I mean, Web3 gaming is so infinitesimally small. It's, and this is not a joke, I've canceled games in development that had larger DAU than all of Web3 gaming right now. So it's like, just put it in perspective, right? That's where we're at. We can talk about the benefits that Web3 gaming offer, and ownership is certainly one of them, but you can't sell this to players. And, or at least as you talked about, tier 1 players, which is first order and second and third order effects, are the tier 2 and tier 3 countries that then kind of sell those items back, and you create this ecosystem. So first thing we need to do is get the tier 1 countries to play these games. How do you do it? Well, you make sure people don't realize that there's blockchain involved, and it's not tricking them, it's making it easy. You don't have to sign up for a wallet. You don't have to write down a seed phrase. No one's gonna do this. Look at games right now. I download a game and I'm playing the game. I don't have to buy an item, and I have to figure out, I have ETH, I gotta, swap that into Poly. No one wants to do this stuff. And even, some of the technological advances that we've had in blockchain, like account abstraction, have really helped with this. Like what you're talking about, I can get a wallet with a Google account, and I don't even realize that I own this wallet until I actually have to take value out of this system. And then you probably have regulatory laws. If you're in the US, there's know your customer, so you have to fill out some forms. So it's making it easy as possible for players to get into the game. And then there's the game itself. Why go through all this trouble? Some of my members from the team are here, know how much freaking trouble we've had to go through. Just evaluating tools, evaluating platforms, trial and error on integrating them, and making them even talk to Web 2 tools and platforms. But for us, we see the benefit that is beyond what you can really do with Web 2 games. I'll just give you an example of one of what we call a tip of the iceberg features that you can leverage Web3 technology for. And it is emergent progression. So most games right now, you have linear progression, where if you and I have the same item at level 10, 30, 50, same stats. Doesn't matter if you're some sweaty that's in all of the PvP, like doing ranked, just grinding real hard, and I'm over here just having a great time, you know, checking in and just farming. None of this is really taken into account properly. And with NFTs and provenance, you can actually start to tag what items you've taken into the game. So what characters you're using, what does your loadout look like, what events have you done? And this will always follow this specific item, whether I trade it to you or lend it to you for an event. And so you can start to create systems, and this is just like one way that, like, come on, everyone should be doing this. You can create a more emergent progression that now the player doesn't just have ownership over the item, they have more autonomy on how they can interact inside of the game. And so this is just like one of the things that we look at and what got us bullish on blockchain, because in order to do this, like in the past, you just have to have a massive back-end team and infrastructure. You don't need that now. Like, there's a chain that will do it for you, and for an extremely low cost. So we're just very early in the life cycle right now, and these are just the growing pains. It happened when gaming went to browser. It happened when gaming went to mobile. And it's just another cycle of the adoption of a new technology, add it to the tech stack, and figure out really great ways in which we can use this. So, sorry, that got a little like long.
No. So as I understood, also like you touched base also the dynamic NFTs and other type of progression that can be tracked on chain, and that can really empower the player, and also, yeah, in my opinion, also let's say the share of the revenue that game can be earning to the gamers, and in a transparent way, this should be a game changer. For instance, applied to the circular economy, we don't have the play to earn, so it's like distributing equally on the leaderboard on a daily basis. I think that this can work, like step by step, of course. So all of us will have like some our ideas, and it's good that we are like we're cooperating, discussing, because for the first time we meet, and we are like the Web3 space is wonderful because of that. Like, we don't feel like competition. Mostly we try to support each other. What do you think? What is the biggest obstacle for the Web2 developers, to enter the Web3 space, because they were like skeptic in the last years? Do you think something is changing, and what should we, give as our opinion why they have to look into the Web3 space?
Okay, well, I mean, Patrick just mentioned mobile, browser, all of this new technology that came into the market. Also, I would like to mention some free-to-play. I mean, I was part of the Cabal Online team back in 2009 when it was brought to Western markets. First free-to-play game, everybody was saying you're crazy, everybody plays World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings Online, Lineage 2. I mean, why are you bringing this free-to-play thing, this garbage? And now, 15 years later, we look back and we show how everything changes. So as you said, Patrick, we must provide a technology. Hundreds of developers will find great uses for that. I mean, in a way, we are not responsible for what's going to be happening. Like, Web3 is a new way of thinking in terms of internet. We have gone through Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, or Web 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2. And so I think there will be many ways of how this is being adopted in the future. And we can say, as you said, Patrick, we're in a very, very early stage. I think the biggest problem we have had, and it's the big difference between Web3 gaming and everything that happened before, is that we have crypto in the mix. So we had all these trading people, all these financial people coming on board at the same time that the technology has come. They saw an opportunity because they have been trading for decades that we couldn't even see it, because we are not I mean, I'm sure every one of us has the friends saying, I've been investing in this token, and they never had even purchased a share on a stock market, but they thought they were traders. So that has been the biggest problem we have had over the last 2 or 3 years. People thinking that they were actually traders, they could make a fortune out of this small token with a very small market capitalization or market. So that has been the big issue. So as long as we can split that part from the technology itself, as we said, I mean, Web3 is a new way of thinking in internet. Just it's that ownership by the individuals, not the corporations. I mean, this looks like a chimera, like something that is going to be very difficult to happen because it's very big powers involved, like governments fighting with the crypto. I mean, we know in the famous Bitcoin white paper, there is a lot of technology there. There is a lot of money model mechanics, you know, pure money theory from economics. So there is a big mix of stuff there. So as long as we can leave on a side all this trading part and scams part and all that, it will work. But I think it's going to take some years. But that's the biggest threat for this technology.
Yeah, I have to agree. Traders that are in the middle of a gaming community ruin the fun. That's obvious. They have always done this. I remember back in the day when I was playing Final Fantasy 11 online, and people were just farming for money and stealing all the mobs before I could claim them. That's obviously a problem and has always been one. Resolving this is probably not as difficult as it seems, though. Just as a thought experiment, if you go like 2 or 3 years to the future, how is on-chain gaming going to look? What we have right now, it's traditional games, somehow blockchain enabled, pushing NFTs into everything that moves. Whereas where we're looking at is that the entire game is on chain. So there is nothing like a client-side game anymore. And what you just said, everything probably will be revolving around loot. Everybody loves loot. Everybody knows what loot is. If you own your loot, and you can do with it whatever you want, hopping from game to game, hopping from chain to chain, it will not be a problem anymore if there's a trader involved. Somebody who's only there for monetary gains because it's part of the game then. And I assume the biggest pushback or the biggest roadblock right now is fear. Especially the bigger publishers or development studios. If we talk to them, they all did their little experiments, and then they got shitstorm left and right, and then they dropped it because they're just insecure how to fully embrace this. And if you try to rip it apart, if you stay a centralized provider and you want to tap into the goodness of decentralization, for example, let's just talk about loot in this instance. And if you want to own that, you're contradicting the system that you're tapping into. So before, there is not a general shift in reception of what a decentralized system is, and maybe putting a game or two totally on chain and letting the community own that and just run with your community. I think there's so many decisions, like boardroom decisions, that are not going to be taken. And this is why we're actually just providing like granular pieces of the puzzle to everybody. And then we just say, hey, go with what you own and do whatever you want. It has transformative power, but I think fear of decision makers is a big problem holding back the development that could be, from our perspective, we could be much further than where we are right now. Currently, a friend of mine and I, we're developing for a autonomous world kind of game, and we're providing like just a little portion of the gameplay, basically embedding it into the physics of that world, like into the core protocol. So we're expanding something that a big publisher would never let you touch. and these projects, like a microscopic portion of the market, that's true. But the speed and how these usually organized in a DAO, how these DAOs grow, that's quite exceptional, and we see a good a path forward. It just takes another, I don't know, 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to the education on all sides. I mean, I somewhat understand the trader aspect. I think with an open economy, open system, the decentralized games will have it's almost necessary. Otherwise, if you don't have someone doing price, oh man, why am I forgetting the word? Arbitration? No, not arbitration. What is it? When you're price scalping? Damn, it'll come to me. You need traders to even out prices, right? Otherwise, you could one day sell an item for $10 and then come back the next day it's worth 100, and you're like, oh crap, because the equilibrium has not been met. And really, when you're doing like maximum transaction volume as one of these traders, because they're just trying to like, make a profit anyway. So they'll take the 1 cent, and they remember the good days of making $10 per trade. But you know what? They'll take the 1 cent and pump out 100,000 of these items a day, and this stabilizes some of these open systems. So I'm not like super down on them. It just feels overwhelming right now because they are such a large percentage of the market, right? The player base.
And the flippers.
Yeah, exactly. Here just for the money. But outside of that, I really just see it as education. So many of the members of Moonlit, I had to talk them into just listening to me about blockchain. So everyone I've worked with in the past, I'm just like, hey, doing this blockchain gaming company, and they're just like, you're a part of the problem. Luckily, I've heard it enough times with mobile browser and free-to-play. I was like, no, hear me out. But it was just through these talks of really understanding the technology. Like, it's really like fascinating to see that a lot of these larger companies like Ubisoft, that just did, like, why are you presenting something from the tech stack as if users care about it? Like, no one cares if you're on an AWS server or an Azure server. Like no one cares. No one cares what MMP you're using. Like, it's just part of the tech stack. It's working in the background. It's making it easy for me. And this is what blockchain should be doing. And then you should be highlighting the user experience that you can have and how that differs from Web 2. And then that's onto the game designers and the game teams to come up with like amazing ideas, because there's some really interesting, cool things you can do with this technology. So I think it's just like an educational aspect. And it's not even just external, it's internal to the industry itself, because you do have so many people that don't want to hear it. And it's like, well, why? Because it's all scams. Sure, I would never use email either if, early email was an indication, because there was all these, Nigerian princes that were scamming people. So you can't just blame the tool, and it really just comes back to just educate.
Yeah, totally agree. So being in this space for some years, like more than 6 years, anyway, from my perspective, what I see, having the bright minds coming to the space, I'm like meeting a lot of really interesting guys that are joining the Gamify world, and I think in 1-2 years we will have like hundreds interesting games and projects coming. So me personally, I think I'm not skeptical for that. So yeah, I think that the conversation was interesting. Thank you for your insights. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
I feel like we should take some questions or something.
Yeah.
We can take some questions. Yeah.
Yeah, if you would like to ask something.
So you guys still have some time.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Epic to you. You started a beautiful sequence of panes of Web3, of browser games, panes of mobile games. Continue the sequence, please, and tell us the panes of spatial computing games.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so as you rightly pointed out, like even just going from browser, mobile, free to play. I mean, I remember going to conferences where it was really a debate whether or not they should have a track called Live Ops. Whoa, like we're not sure if people are gonna like that. Now it's just like a part of almost every large conference like GDC and Gamescom, all of these, Pocket Gamer. Now for, oh my God, the pain points for that we're going through right now, it really is just, the tech itself is really not well understood. And I would even say that for people that are trying to leverage it for games. Because it's like we just don't know what we don't know. Like we are a bit fumbling around trying to figure out really cool things. And this is why, I mean, we like to call them just tip of the iceberg, because every time we start looking at something very specific and a use case for, and just to be clear, for us, we're leveraging NFTs and the different types of standards that specifically on Ethereum you can use. Anytime we start really zeroing in on use cases there, it starts to like, oh, and then we can do this, and then this, and then this, and it's like, all right, rewind, because we're outpacing what tools and infrastructure and other platforms can actually do, or transaction speed, or, you know, a great example is within the EVM ecosystem, account abstraction has always been this like, oh, we'll get to it. And account abstraction is being able to create a wallet without having to go through the multiple steps that you used to have to. If anyone remembers those days, it was very painful and long. Now it's single sign-on. Like I can just have my Google account, cool, I have a wallet. This makes it very easy for...
I was talking about progression is about the where the game meets the eyeballs. Web browser, mobile, XR.
Ah, yes, okay.
Progression is, you know.
Yeah. I mean, then we get into Real Player One, or Ready Player One, which, yeah, been hearing. Anyway, this is a great question. Yes, because I think one of the benefits of what blockchain is trying to do is emulate a lot of real world. Just, I call it economy, physics, all these things. Like if you have a game that is on chain, like you truly have a physics engine that you can't go change. Like
Yes.
it's there. Like
Yes.
this is now a virtual world that has, you know, interactions, and
Yeah.
it's growing, and it's almost like a real EVE Online. This is why EVE is going.
It is real. It is as real as the real world. It's just a matter of you being able to trust that world not to go away. And especially when we talk about physics, what we were building is basically baking magic into the physics of the world. So it exists there. It's like living gazillion miles away in another inertial system, and you can have it here. So it does actually exist today. It's just a matter of believing that you can make use of it.
Well, and then even having interactions with our physical world and connecting those two things, because very much how gaming and entertainment have really merged. You look at top movies or top TV shows are now gaming IPs. It's not the other way around. We're not making games based on IPs. Like everybody wants our stuff. So it's really this connection with the physical world, and this is a way that I see at least that first step before we all start walking around with our Apple glasses. You know, in which we can have that interaction. And it's very early, and again, like the use cases are starting to show up, but we're just so early. Like we just don't know what we don't know, and I'm actually pretty excited for this aspect. Like the blending of games, entertainment, physical world, digital world, and creating new realities.
Let me just say that I think it's also a question of the timing in gaming is always longer than other industries in terms of development and creation, adopting technologies and all that other stuff. But for example, you see, I mean, we are seeing already Web3 projects in, for example, in real estate or fintech. There is a couple of projects already in real estate where they are purchasing apartments all over the Mediterranean coast, and they tokenize it. They just sell the NFTs that provides the ownership of these apartments. Then these apartments are rented in Airbnb, and all the money they are getting, they put it back into the ecosystem in the tokens, like buying more tokens and giving the revenue back to the NFT owners in staking. So these tokens, they are not going down in price because they are getting revenue from the outside world every day. I mean, that's pretty simple to do in a way. Like you just need to purchase the apartment, tokenize the ownership of that, and then just get the money flows back into the ecosystem. So that's pretty simple. You don't need to create virtual worlds, metaverse, mixed reality or whatever. I mean, it takes a lot of time. So we're seeing that there, and it's already working. I mean, I was checking the other day, one of these experiences called Realia or something like that. They had already like 30 apartments purchased in the French coast, Spanish coast, and other places. And this has been replicated in other industries, which are simpler than gaming. So I guess probably what's going to be happening is that other industries, because are simpler, are going to be adopting all of this quicker. And then because of the trend in the market, it will finally come to gaming, because people will understand it as something natural. Because yeah, I'm already investing in real estate in these apartments, why should not be doing the same in gaming? But of course, as everything, we need new generations to be the early adopter, because we know, for example, maybe for millennials it's already a little late. And let us talk about X generation and others. So yeah, I think that's we need also to learn from other industries how they are doing this.
If I may add something there, you asked how is this going to emerge, and you're talking XR. So if you think about what you usually see on a blockchain, the real world counterpart would be something like a banking system. The world does not consist purely of a banking system. There's much more to this. So if you want to think XR, you cannot just replicate the banking system. You need to replicate the world. Before you don't do that, before people cannot be totally invested into that separate reality, if you like. For me, it's just autonomous worlds. I used to do AR, XR back in the day, and I always had the same kind of vision when I wanted to make dinosaurs happen for my kids and drive around in something like Jurassic Park, so I built it in Oculus Rift. But it never really replaced reality, because it was very believable to my brain and to my spine, but it was not believable the moment that I took off the goggles. And then HoloLens came along. It was a bit more believable, but this little friend that I coded for myself, helping me throughout the day, it still wasn't just there. It was just a gimmick. So if you don't have a world, if you don't have a place that is going to stay forever, as long as there's one node that has it, it will be really hard to make a beautiful representation of this and totally immerse yourself into this. Good part is, this is possible. So if you, I don't know, there's frameworks for this, Dojo, Mud. If you just go and deploy a world, it will probably be empty, pretty much like what God probably did at the beginning. At first it was empty, and then some developers came along and they just put stuff in there. And this is what I meant, what we're probably going to see in a year's time, or after next, or at next GDC. This is my hope, to see it there, that we have these worlds existing, and they are so robust and reliable that you have what you want, that you actually want to invest the time to make this all visible, to make this all, like, I don't know, build a suit and feel the wind that blows the other way around because they have different physics there. So it is almost there. Like, if you want to talk about this, find me, because this is something we're really looking into right now, which is a bit ahead of time, and there's no market, literally no market for this at all, but it's an important piece of the puzzle to make this, like, to overcome this fear or this lack of education that we have in blockchain, in gaming at the moment, like this mismatch. We can overcome this together if we just start populating worlds that we believe in.
Like the street from Snow Crash. This is what you're after.
And any other questions?
What part of the Web3 stack do you think will have the biggest impact on the gaming industry in 2024?
I think it has always been NFTs representing ownership. They have never made it to their full potential. I think we need to shift from talking about abstract NFTs representing some PNG on OpenSea, and we need to talk about stuff that you care, stuff that you own and that you want to have. The one thing I can think of from a gaming context that really nicely encapsulates this is loot. Everybody loves loot. Everybody wants loot. Free loot, even better. If I have to go and shoot somebody to get the loot, I will invest. If I need to grind, I want that loot. So having loot was and is and probably will be for some time the core. It's still ownership. It's just a matter of how you get it into your games without making blockchain a awkward to use gimmick.
I mean, I think from a publisher's point of view, I mean, this is something we're trying to do at ReadyGG, is that, I mean, we are trying to, as I said before, just keeping the Web2 flows for registering players. And you know, one of the biggest budget in game industry is marketing, user acquisition, like maybe 50, 60, 70% of the total budget. One of the things we're experimenting with right now, and is working very well, is retargeting users, talking directly to them through their wallets. And that is a wallet we have created for them in a, let's say, a Web2-like platform, right? So, I mean, we know every time we do a marketing campaign, after 1 month, 80% of users are gone, uninstall app, you have no way to contact them anymore, and your user acquisition budget is gone there, right? So we are trying to, and we're doing this already, retargeting all of these users through their wallet, through on-chain ways and other stuff, and it's working. So we are saving that some money there, and we think that as we get more and more Web2 developers to use our technology and get more and more Web2 players to be Web3 without them knowing that they're actually Web3, where we're going to be incrementing this and saving a ton of money to publishers in terms of marketing investment. So this is one of the things I think are going to be really going to be significant. It's also very good for the players because they get a lot of cool stuff from it. I mean, because they have to allow us to send them this retargeting, this advertising, but by providing them incentives for this. So I think this is going to be one of the big difference between a Web3 publisher, and I'm talking now about publishers more than developers, over the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, there is even more early than what we spoke before, in a very early stage of development. But I think this is going to have a very big impact on publishers' marketing budgets over the next years. I can figure out right now how it's going to work. Even me being working on this and having been working on publishing for many years and spending the money, but I'm seeing a lot of potential. So we'll see people using these tools, probably optimizing them. I've already seen a couple of companies doing this retargeting as well, this analytics as well. So I think it's a very interesting field to tap on and experiment with over in 2024.
Definitely cannot disagree with either of those. Also, I'm a little biased making a NFT-based game. For For us, just kind of being in the trenches, because especially with the NFTs and some of the new standards, just to give you an example of some new standards, right? So 6551 allows a token to own tokens. So now you have like this, kind of layered effect. And you can imagine, a character being equipped with a weapon and shoes, like it can actually own those. This is how early we are. And these new standards are being updated and built out right now. And I think there's a lot more mindfulness that gaming is one of the gateways in which we can actually bring on adoption to just the larger blockchain ecosystem. Now, if we're looking specifically at gaming, the Web3 gaming space is missing so much that there is no play fab. There is no like easy, hey, this has live ops and I can plug this in and that. These things are still trying to be built out, but they don't exist. And it's a lot of it's not quite to where, PlayFab is at, or some of the larger Web2 systems. And there's just intricacies about how it works within Web3. I see this being like very impactful from the developer standpoint to actually create and ease the burden of having to do this ourselves or cobble together different technologies or services. And yeah, I think this will expedite development quite a bit. It just takes a lot off developers' plates.
Yeah, from my side, I would add that in the last years, the challenge was, for me, for my friends, for instance, not for me, but for my friends that are type of Web 2.5 users, to the user experience for the, using the Web3 tools. So now I see that there is a very interesting products coming. If we're talking about the gaming, that are covering the type of wallets, Web3 wallets that are having, giving the users very smooth and good user experience, when you need just to register with the email and start using that without having headache with that. So in my opinion, because of the having this recent crashes of the centralized exchange or other stuff, so so the tools that will be creating the simplifying the user experience and having on the back end the decentralized tools, I think they will be one of the winning projects in 2024, if I understand correctly the question. Any other questions? I think, yeah, we're done here. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.